Hello everyone. So today in this video we are going to discuss about some new features are added in a constraint 1.1, right? So the first thing is we are going to discuss about the placeholder, right? So what is the meaning of placeholder and what is the use of? So placeholder is a very useful thing, right? So if you are using iPhone or any other smartphone, right? So you have observed that you can drag and drop some dingling icons from one place to another place, right? Instead of one icon to another icon, right? So in that kind of things, you can use this placeholder very much effectively, right? So let's start our demo that how you can use that so you will get the idea what is the use of it. So for this demonstration, I'm going to create some vector assets, right? So you just need to go to the resource and some vector assets. So here you can see there are some things. You have clip art, size, color, name, and type of the assets. So you can also take your own logo, right? But I'm just going to use these clip arts, right? So the first thing I'm just going to use is over here is a home, right? So this is my home button. I'm just going to add that, and I'm just going to place it as a 60 dp, right? For the size. And now I'm going to keep this name as a IC home, right? And next. So it is going to be under the drawable folder, and now just going to finish that. So you will see here I'm just going to get the IC home. So similarly, let's put some two or three more vector assets, right? And then we can go ahead. So next thing, message, right? So let's put the message over here. Just going to keep same size, underscore message, and just go to that. Let's add one another, right? So here I'm just going to add as a video call, right? So this is a video call icon, 60 dp, finish. Let's rename this. It's fine if you keep it as it is, then also it's fine. So, and now we have a three assets over here. One is a message, one is a home button, third is a video call, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create the image view, right? So I'm just going to get the image view over here, and let's search for image view. I'm just going to put that image view over here, right? And for that, I'm just going to keep it home. Okay. Then let's create another image view. For that, I'm just going to create a message, right? And let's create one another image view. And for that, video call, right? So these are the three icons. Now let's put the constraints for these three icons. So whatever concepts we have learned up till now, so that are very useful over here. So right now I'm just going to give the constraint to here and here. I'm just also going to give the constraint to here and here. And I'm just also going to give the constraint to here and here, right? So now you can see guys over here that three icons we have. Okay. So now we are going to create horizontal chain to equally distribute and connect to these icons. So create horizontal chain. So now you can see it is equally distributed over here. I'm going to now give some below margin. So bottom margin bottom, I'm just going to give us a 40 dp, right? And I'm going to give same margin to all these three, right? So it looks better. Okay. So I hope now the particular UI is ready for us, right? So these are the three icons. Suppose say this is a taskbar, your taskbar, phone's taskbar, right? And if you are using iPhone and if you touch and hold that particular icon for 1 or 2 seconds, then it is starting dingling, right? Then you can move this icon from over here to here and all that, right? So that kind of facility, if you want to put over here, then we are just going to use the placeholder. Now here our design is ready. Now ready to put the placeholder. So here, first of all, you just need to provide the name of all this. I forgot that. Uh, this is the home. Okay, guys. So for our three icons, we have provided the ID because we are going to use these IDs over there, right? So this is a call, message, and home ID, right? So now what we are going to create, we are going to create a placeholder. So as I told you that it's a feature of the constraint layout. So if you go into the palette and search for the placeholder, then you will not find that, right? So if you want to use the placeholder, then you just need to go over here, right? And you can create a placeholder. So you can see over here, constraint layout widget, right? Then you are just going to keep the width and height as same as the icon because we are going to replace that. So we are just going to keep it as a 60 dp, and over here also we are going to keep it as a 60 dp, right? So you can observe the things over here that it is not visible in this particular design area, right? So you can see now it is something like a border kind of thing is there. In a blueprint, you can see it clearly, right? So now what we are going to do over here, that we are just going to give the constraint to this particular placeholder, right? So right now, if you observe that this placeholder is over here, I want to keep it as a in a center. So we are just going to give the constraint to this particular widget, our placeholder, that we are just going to keep it as a center, right? So it is in a center right now. Okay. So now we are also going to provide the ID to this particular placeholder. So ID, and for the simplicity, we are just going to keep it as a placeholder, right? So it's a placeholder. Okay, so now our design is ready for this, and we are also just going to give the layout ID, right? That is a layout, already it is given, right? So you have to provide the ID layout over here because we are just going to replace the icons, right? Okay, now what is the another thing over here in placeholder, right? So whenever I'm just moving this home icon over here, then all these icons will take up the space equally, right? And it uses the gone property. So we have already discussed what is the gone property, what is the invisible property, right? So that kind of properties are going to be added over here, and it will give you the smooth effect, right? So now let's provide one event, because here two things you can do. Either you can drag and drop these icons, right? Or what you can do, you can just click over here and it will be replaced. So for the simplicity, we are just going to keep it as a on click event. So for the on click event, we are just going to use as a replace view function, right? So over here, we are just keep a same method. We are just going to keep a same function over here. So it is already replace view is there. Already I have created that, right? So you have to create this replace view now in your particular thing, right? So over here, let's remove all this code, and we are just going to begin from the scratch, right? So now here you have to create the replace view method, right? So whenever you click on a particular icon, that will be changed. So let's start the coding, right? So first of all, you have to create the reference of the particular placeholder. So we are just going to create a placeholder, right? Now here the placeholder is there. You need to find that view by ID. So placeholder is equals to find view by id r dot id dot placeholder, whatever we have given the id to the placeholder, right? Now over here, for the simplicity, what we are doing, placeholder dot one method is there in that set content id, right? So here we are just fetching the id of that particular icon and then will be replaced. So here we are just referring by the object view dot get id of a particular icon's id, right? So whenever I click that particular icon, so that will be replaced and put it in a placeholder. So that's why placeholder dot set content id. So in placeholder, that particular icon will be moved, right? So it is very simple code, right? So now let's execute this code and see what happens. Okay, guys. So our code is ready. Now, if I right now you cannot see the placeholder over here, right? But when I click on this home icon, that will be placed to that placeholder. So you can see, right? At the same time, equally all these icons will get the same spacing, right? Because we have created the chain, so equal distributed spacing will be there. And here it uses the gone property, right? So you can recall my previous video that what is the use of gone property. It is not going to take up the space, right? So that's why this message icon will be over here. Suppose if it is the invisible property, then it is not going to take up the space, right? It will be over here, but by default placeholder will take the gone property, right? So as you see, we have not set any property over here. It is automatically will be set, right? Suppose if I click on this, so you can see the particular icons will be replaced, right? So now to make this application more interactive, right? So what we are going to do now, we are just going to put the particular transition effects, right? So right now, if you see, if you click, then it is like flip-flop, right? So now I'm going to create one transition effect over here. So to provide the transition effect, you can just go to the private, create constraint layout, and you can just put the name as a layout variable name. Now here I told you that you just keep the ID of this particular original constraint layout. So you can see the layout is given over here. Now layout is equals to find view by id r dot id dot r dot id dot layout, right? Now let's create the particular transition manager. One transition manager class is there, dot begin delayed transitions, right? Then you can use a group view group. So here our view group is a layout, so that is our constraint layout sub part of view group, right? So now by default it is going to use some delay into this particular application to provide the transition effects, right? So now you can see this is the transition effect, right? So it's provide the delayed transition, you can see, right? Now it is instead of flip-flop, it is the transition effect, right? So that's it guys for this video. So you can observe this particular placeholder is very useful, right? So whenever you are going to provide some animation kind of or this kind of effects, right? That's it guys for this video. We'll see one another new feature of the constraint layout in the next video. Thanks for watching.